Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Raw Cloud. Today I have some white hat notes I want to share with you guys. Recently, I did a timeline jump. I ended up going into almost like the astral realm where these elites, they conduct business there. They conduct how things are going to play out here, and then they bring it into this realm. So I saw some things that I want to bring to your attention, especially dealing with Elon. There's a lot of things that's going on right now, and I feel like you should know about it. Absolutely know about it. But first, before I get into that timeline jump, I actually did a recording a couple of days ago when it happened, and I ended up, jumping back to this timeline. So I started to record then. I'll let you listen to that recording. But before you listen to that recording, I'm gonna give you some grounds of what's going on, so you can understand like what's been really happening from behind the scenes. And you can't always believe the news media. There's always they will give you what we consider watered down information. It's not going to be accurate. They're never going to give you accuracy on what's really going on because they don't want you to know what's going on. Okay, they don't want that going into the human collective. Why? It's because if we know what's going on, we can change the timelines, and this is the prime reason why I work with the white hat military to do these timeline jumps, and then I'll come back to this timeline and let you guys know about it. That way, it goes into the human collective, and we can change it as a unit, as a collective. We can change it. If we know about it, we can change it. So let me get into these notes. Heart. The chemtrails and the cell towers are helping the archons create a stronger frequency net around the world. Elon Luciferian companies have the capability to create weapons that disrupt the natural body by and through your biomatrix field. Check this out, and then I'll get back to the notes.
This is a clot pulled straight from someone's veins. This isn't normal blood, this is called amyloid. Since 2022, embalmers worldwide have found these in thousands of bodies, and a brand new study just proved the same amyloid clots are forming inside living people right now. Indeed, they found them in every single participant who received a shot. In this video, we'll look at what they are, why they're happening, and what you can potentially do about it. Now, these are microscopic, so they remain hidden and hard to identify, but they probably can account for most of the symptoms that we see so commonly now. This means the fatigue, the brain fog, the nervous system problems, and even the sudden cardiac events. This new study compared the blood from 50 patients with long COVID diagnosed and 38 healthy controls. It found that these clots, called amyloid microclots, they were dramatically higher in people with long COVID. This was up to 20 times greater in number and a much larger size as well. However, they also found these microclots in practically every other participant. So this means even the healthy control group. Unsurprisingly, every single one of these healthy controls had also received the shot. And so why is this even important? Your body forms blood clots. Normally, importantly, these clots can be broken down through the body's natural process of fibrinolysis. This is where the body dissolves those clots using enzyme systems in the blood, which essentially come along, they break down, dissolve the clot, and then your immune system cleans up the mess. This is happening on a regular basis and you don't even know about it. However, in people with long COVID or those who took a certain medical procedure, well, the clot that forms is completely different. This clot aggregates with a bunch of other proteins and inflammatory chemicals and forms an amyloid clot. And like I said, these can be very small in size and quite hard to detect. And because of their unique structure, they are highly resistant to this process of fibrinolysis, which basically means that your body cannot break them down. In other words, they might remain there permanently. So, millions of these tiny microclots clogging up the blood and you don't even know about it. And this can probably help explain why 4 years on, people have still got these microclots because their immune system can't get rid of them. For those who are wondering, why are these clots even problematic in the first place? Well, let me explain. Your blood is tasked with carrying oxygen around the body. Your cells need oxygen to make energy. Now, if your blood is packed full of these tiny microclots, well, your ability to transfer that oxygen around the body is going to be severely impaired. Since you need oxygen to manufacture energy in your cells, well, this means that your peripheral tissues are going to be progressively starved of the needed energy. Furthermore, these microclots can go on to aggregate to form larger clots, which can then clog your veins and arteries, potentially leading to a stroke or cardiac arrest. And of
So as you can see, through a lot of the shots and what we consider this COVID type conspiracy, it's not a conspiracy. It is reality. You know, they can use biotech within these. You know what? I'm gonna be extremely careful because I don't want the video to be flagged. But you need to put the pieces together when it comes to these shots and what's in those shots. So let's get back to the notes. Psionic weapons, much like what was used on my friend and comrade James Rink. Now you know that James Rink, he died. There was some health issues going on. A lot of that had to do with, as I told you before, um, they were taking him and they was pretty much poisoning him over time. But he was also, getting these nanites in him, um, and through this particular technology, which they're going to try to do on a mass level. Um, Through these shots, they can target you. They can target you like satellite tracking, and then with these weapons that go along with that, they can cause their frequency weapons that can cause disruption within your biomatrix field, meaning your nervous system. They can attack the heart. They can attack many different body parts and cause things to happen, especially with the nanites that are self-replicating within your system. Okay, so they can be activated through cell towers. They can be activated through the satellites. And Elon is very much a part of this. Okay, he can turn on the switch and they begin to replicate within your body. They can cause hemorrhaging within the body. But let's get back to the notes. Psionic weapons, much like what was used on my friend and comrade James Reed, causing heart attack. Elon Neuralinks have this capability. The Pentagon and all of the intelligence community at the top worldwide are much a part of it. These guys are pretty much on board with this. We talking about global elites. We talking about the Freemasons, these Nazis, the Zionists, all of these groups and subgroups within the Illuminati, the occult. They are on board with this particular agenda, and even the ones that don't like it, that they are not coming out and speaking out about this. If they are, they have to be a part of the white hat movement and then go into some type of protection, so that they are not assassinated. Um, we all know that this particular Trump is not the real Trump. Okay. So, and I told you guys, and you starting to see this, there's a lot of information coming out about these mini Trumps. Um, if you open your mind and not be passive, you can see this for what it is. I told you guys a while ago, you're dealing with Anunnaki, you're dealing with reptilians. You cannot look at this on a human level. If you look at this on a human level, then you're gonna dilute your consciousness. Okay, you're gonna look at it from a sheep standpoint. Okay, you got to look at this from a Star Wars type of scenario. It's bigger than what you think it is. Just because these beings are, they walk amongst you all the time. They just go undetected. Okay, they walk amongst you all the time. So as long as you walking with that knowledge, knowing that these beings are around us all the time, they are like managing us. They can walk amongst us, and I'll talk more about that, of how they use digital analogs for the ones that can't shapeshift. Either they'll wear a synthetic pseudo flesh human suit. Okay, these suits are grown, just much like the suits that they put on the androids. I explained this in a video how China and Japan they have androids that can grow skin. Okay, this is real human skin that they can grow. Um, it can be bruised. I mean, they're very much advanced at this particular technology. Okay, now I have some side notes I want you guys, for the new people. Now, the people that's been with me since the beginning or a year from now, that before this particular Trump came back into office. Now, he told you guys, you know, he told the world about the snake poem. When he read that snake poem, and he was telling you then, who he was. So, and if you want to hear him, just type in Trump speaking about the snake poem, giving a speech on the snake poem. So he was telling you who he was, and you shouldn't get mad. You allowed him in. He's not the real Trump, though. He's not the real Trump. Okay, this is the SSP Dark Fleet Trump. This is the Aryans, these particular Nordics that don't have humanity best interest at heart. They are not the true Pleiadians that I work with. I've worked with many Pleiadians, and they do uh, have deep love and compassion for humanity. But then you have the Luciferian side, those particular Nordics side with the reptilians. They don't like the reptilians. They like to do their own things. They are a little bit more humane because they are human in nature, but they do have reptilian genetics that makes them a little bit more aggressive, and they are, they like their groups and their groups only. Okay, now the side notes. So the cabal, which was the Democrats, the blue bloods, the copper base. So the Democrats represented the blue bloods, which are pure blood Draco reptilians, um, and the Republicans are the Luciferians, the Atlanteans. Um, if you cut them, they're more oxygen based. They will bleed red, but they don't have high reptilian genetics, so they are, You know, they were created a long time ago through the Dracos capturing Pleiadians and then genetically modifying or breeding with them to create a fallen angelic human line. Okay, they became the Republican long ago. The Democrats and the Republicans didn't originate here. It originated in the Orion constellation. Um, it's their caste system. It's their caste system. Mankind has been fooled for quite some time now to create and manifest the reality that they want. That's the reality that they already had set up long before they even came here. It's a caste system. So look, the cabal, which was the Democrats, um, they're high in reptilian genetics, so they can shapeshift. Their hybrids can shapeshift, or they can't shapeshift, or they're just pure blood. They can't shapeshift. The pure bloods cannot shapeshift. They have to have human genetics in order to go back and forth. And in order to hold their human form, if it's too high, whether they got human genetics or not, if it's too high in reptilians genetics, then they need to consume human blood. So, and that's why they do a lot of these ritual sacrifices, and they need the blood to hold the human form. Those are the Democrats. Um, so they couldn't get the job done. They couldn't get humanity under control. They were just too. They were pretty much out of control. They couldn't keep a stable mindset. So the Orions knew about this, and they gave the Luciferians, the more human line, a chance at getting humans here on this planet under control. Uh, and they were going to do it more humane. The reptilians just wanted to depopulate like all at once. That's why the uh, the COVID shots were created, to hit you guys all at once. But we had, help from our galactic councils to, slow that down and put a halt to it altogether at that time. We also had energies coming in from the sun. We also had spiritual energy coming in from higher realms, from angel realms. That was, coming in and helping with all of that negative energy. So, but it was more or less for us to awaken and see what was going on and to question the government. Okay. The government is your slave system. Okay. It is the slave system of humanity. We have to get away from the government altogether because that is their system. And it originated on the Draco star system and the Orion star system. But nevertheless, the Orion Empire, the Orion Council, told the Democrats or the cabal to step aside, and you allow the Luciferians, the Atlanteans, to get control. That's why the Republicans are doing what they're doing. They are no longer hiding who they are and what they're about. They are Luciferians, okay? They are tricksters. And that's what they're about, okay? If they can trick you, then that's allowed because we should know better. Anything that divides the human collective, we should never be a part of. What ICE is doing is not Christ-like, okay? And if we go along with that, then we get what we get, and we will be next. Doesn't matter what color you are, okay? You are not. These are Luciferians. They don't care about color, okay? That they don't. If you are not of their bloodline, it doesn't matter whether you're white, black, Chinese. They don't care about none of that. They don't care about any of it. They don't like the human race. They want to control it. So, okay. So now we know that like I said, the Orions, and they put three people in charge of managing fake Trump, China, and Putin, Russia. Okay. They are managers of humanity and the Orion constellation to continue to work to get humanity under control. They want to do it a little bit more humane. They are the Republicans. They are more human in nature. I don't know about China or Russia, but I do know that here, these particular Luciferians here, um, they are oxygen based. They are a little bit more humane. Doesn't make it right regardless, and we should still move away from them because they don't care about the human race. They want to control it. Bottom line, they want to control it, but they are not like the Dracos. Okay, and I told you guys when I went on Journey to Truth podcast before anyone saw all of this stuff right now that's going on. I painted the picture almost 3 years ago what was coming, and that I said that Trump is the less of two evils. I said it back then. I knew. But even I, at that time back then, I had to work with him to take down the cabal because they were not going to go quietly. They were not going to go quietly. So I had to help. At that time, it was the best decision for me to help. But I knew I had to break away from him because he wanted to do a contract. He wanted me to go into a soul contract. That's why when I told you guys, when I went to the last time I went to Space Force, I already worked with one side. That's the white hat side. But Trump wanted to hire me uh, to do a contract, and I refused to do the contract. That's when I was on the military base, and I was throwing around the Space Force guys, and I jumped out of the 2-story window, and then the bone, my rib popped through my stomach, and I gave up, and they took me in to custody. And Trump looked at me with disappointment. And I told you guys, this is my last go here. This is my last round. I will not be incarnating here anymore. So if I do a contract with someone that I know that will have me doing some bad things against humanity, then I get the karma because I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. So I didn't. Okay. And I had to break away from that. And you guys have to understand that Trump is not in charge of the SSP. Okay. We have two sides. We have a positive and a negative side, a white hat and a black hat side. You guys should know this stuff by now. That's just how duality is. We have to coexist. And I'm a white hat. And I told you sometimes we have to sit down with these particular people and we have to air out things. It's not all about fighting each other at any given time. Okay. Because we have a positive galactic Federation Council on one side, and then we have a negative galactic council on the other side. And sometimes we do fight. We have to when treaties are broken. We have to fight. Um, but nevertheless, I want you guys to know what's going on because the bad guys are never going to tell you. They don't want disclosure out. The white hats want it out so that you can decide how you want to proceed with your ascension. That's what it boils down to, and they want to hold you back because they see your genetics. They see you as cattle. The bad guys see you as cattle. They see you as a commodity. Uh, Earth is being ran like a corporation, but on a galactic level. You guys are still thinking that you're looking at these businesses as on a human level. No, they have symbolism that goes off into other galaxy and even into other dimensions where other pharaohs are over certain galactic councils in other dimensions. That's how big it is. That's exactly how big it is. Okay, let me get back to. So you know that ice is a part of the paperclip boys. Okay, they have been planning this for a long time. They had just been waiting for the right moment to implement these plans. ICE don't only just take people. It's not about immigration. It's about digital, taking people into many different avenues where they can be implanted for digital ID identification. They are doing organ harvesting, and what's left of these humans, the body parts, get assimilated into our food chain. So we are also participating in cannibalism when it comes to these restaurants out here, which I've already told you some of these restaurants like McDonald's. So everybody should know some of these food chains have human meat inside of it. But this other part, so they have been experimenting with the shots. I told you I have been in biolabs. I've been in biolabs where I'm seeing reanimated corpse are being programmed. They can be programmed. And what I have found is that you guys know how the virtual reality games are. You put these goggles on, and then you walk into this. It's like you're almost there. Well, the reptilians have this particular type of technology where they can reanimate the corpse, and they can put on these links to this reanimated corpse, and they can animate them. They can walk around amongst you like NPCs, but they are reptilian controlled. So a lot of that is going on, and Elon does have a lot to do with that. And also, it can be used as a weapon against you as far as, like I said, what happened to James Rink, using these weapons with satellite. Um, you can be attacked by frequency weapons. So, okay, look, also, a lot of the people now that has like soul contracts, Once they are done with you, once they are done with you, especially like the rich people, some of them want to continue on. I'm gonna give you an example. So Tom Hanks, his original soul, he had a soul contract, had a soul contract. Um, his soul has been put into an android and is fully functional, operated by his own consciousness. He is a part of the elite establishment and can be used. He can be used. And the other, let's just say you guys should never do like soul contracts with to be famous for money, any type of recognition like that with any type of Illuminatis, because they can use your soul. They will take your soul. It doesn't have to be uploaded. Only specific people are going to be uploaded into androids for this transhumanism, because they don't want to. They know that all of the bad things that they've done, they have to. The karma is so great that they have to pay for that karma, and they don't want to pay. They want to stay here, continue the game, and one of the ways of doing that is being uploaded into an android. Um, but then you have others that have signed soul contracts, like the music industry. These little, um, not gonna call them nobodies, because they had talent. They did need the Illuminatis. They had their own talent, but the Illuminatis, when they take over an organization, um, if they want you and you say no, then they don't give you the work. They don't give you the work that you deserve because of your talent. So when you do sign these contracts, you your soul belongs to them, and you need to read the fine print. You need to get you one of the Illuminati lawyers, because they are out there and they can read these contracts to you. It is called a contract for a reason. But let's get into that. Let's get into that because I have some notes on that. Tom Hanks' soul or conscience has been uploaded into a android robot. That's the thing about soul contracts. You get conned. The reptilians are good at being con artists. They work for the archons. Again, you will hear these cons, okay? The archons. They are conning the reptilians, because the reptilians are enslaved to the archons, and there are many reptilians that don't want to be doing what they're doing, but they are forced because they have these nanites in them. They are property of the archons. Yeah, so they work for the archons, and the archons want to use souls. We become batteries for them. Famous people get trapped by money and wanting to be famous. And that's another thing. Like I said, everything is choice. Like when you truly break it down, that's why the Illuminatis, they don't really force you to do anything. They dangle these carrots uh, over you. They entice you to want to do this. They don't have to tell you everything about it. You should know right from wrong. We all know right from wrong, but we choose to do what? When we want something, knowing that it's wrong, we choose what's wrong because it entices us to see things and want things over your higher conscience. Like I said before, these dark ones can never beat the light. It was never meant for them to win over any of you. They cannot control your ascension process and everything that they do to try to stop that. It only makes you stronger. It only makes you stronger. Your galactic family. Know this. This is why they sit on the sideline and they only step in when it's absolutely necessary. We got this one. Like I said, if we are able to see what's going on, their plans, because they like to keep it hidden, if we can see it, we can manifest the timeline or reality that we want. It just needs to be out in the open. We at least need to know about it so that we can say, okay, we either choose to participate with it or no, we do not consent. And then we go into another timeline that is best for our humanity outcome. Some of these timelines with some harsh lessons has to happen. Why? Because it's going to make us stronger. And these Illuminatis, they're running out of ways to slow us down or stop us. They're running out of ways to do that. So check out the video after this one, and then we'll get into what happened with the timeline I saw. I love you, I honor you, and I will always respect you. Have a good day. Guys, I just got back from a jump. Look, first, before I get into that, I have to tell you that these demonic entities, these global enterprise, they are not humans. They are demonic beings walking around amongst us, disguising themselves as us humans. They are constantly going after the children, inverting their energy from the inside out. They know that the children light is connected to the Christ light, the sun. The sun activation is within the children. It's within the star seeds, the light workers and light warriors. They know this is why they're going after disclosure, because we are holding the codes, we are holding the light, we are holding these gates open so other beings like ourselves from the angelic realm can have a true connection to our divine source here on the planet. They will invert the female divine feminine energy and make it more masculine to throw the balance off. They do the same thing with male energy, divine male energy, to throw the balance off. It disconnects us from the children. It disconnects us from the Christ light. It disconnects us from unity. Global elites, all of them, whether it be the cabal or the Luciferians, they are desperately trying to depopulate. There is a weapon that is going to be used much like the heart, but it's going to be cell towers. Elon is connected to this. He will be given a signal to activate this from the cell towers through the chemtrails, these nanites that's within our body. What happened to James Reed? They want to happen to the world. It is connected to the heart. His heart was hit, the weapon, causing a heart attack. China also has the same type of capability. They used it during COVID. They knocked out a lot of people. They was doing testing and people were just dropping dead. No one knew what was going on. Has a lot to do with these shots and these vaccines. It has a lot to do with it. So the more you have these heavy metals within your body, the more it is infused within your nervous system. This weapon that Elon is going to get the signal to do. I was in the astral realm and I saw a lot of things going on. It's connected to the NPCs, the zombies. These zombies, they want us like these zombies, controllable, not being able to think. It's so much, guys. It's really so much. It's a lot of information. But the harp, okay, a frequency weapon. It's going to be a frequency weapon. And it is connected to Elon. Elon is going to be given the signal to pull this switch. It's connected to his technology. All of these global elites are evil bastards. When I get back from these jumps, I have to start recording to retain these memories. I'll be speaking briefly in another video and trying to go into full detail on the things that I saw. I love you, I honor you, I respect you.
Okay, simplest explanation, tailored specifically for those of you from radio frequency, information technology. In other words, the people that for the last year and a half I've been bitching at, going, how do you guys not know, and why aren't you telling other people what the COVID really is? It's a cyber physical backbone. What's that? What's telepathy? Here we go. What's the aura? Here we go. You have no idea. You, whoever you are, in information technology, radio frequency, computer networking, code nerds with Python, you guys, I grew up with a bunch of you, and all my life, you never believed in any of that stuff. Chakras, like behind me over here, that's foo-foo and woo-woo. And you're focused on what? Routing radio frequency through the human body. Through the human body. Through the human body since 1995. So you have to understand initially that for me, after being targeted with electronic torture and not knowing about the electronic warfare side at all until 2019, going down to the post office, and they said, you're in the new 6G. And I happened to hold a job a long time ago. And this time, I'm going to show you why this is such an issue for certain people, because they're like, don't fuck with her because she does know. Yeah, High Speed Access Corporation, before it was sold to Charter Communications, the Network Operations Center with 3 layers of security going underground, was in Louisville, Kentucky. The second Cisco certified network professional was who got off the plane with Woz and the rest of them, and when I was 19 years old, and I walked over in the knock to say hello to this gentleman who ran our network operations center, and then I went back up to Wisconsin as a field operations technician. I was one of 2 people to change the state of Wisconsin from dial-up to broadband. The state. So Madison, which was DOCSIS, because it's a big city, Milwaukee and Green Bay, Time Warner, DOCSIS, throwaway modems, whatever. But for the smaller towns, I was positioned in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Rice Lake was another plant that I was responsible for. Those people in smaller communities had to be changed over with the cable plant of the copper and the fiber and all the utilities for water and everything else. And all of that is plant architecture that radio frequency people, linemen, plant engineers know all about. Okay. Now, do you know about NMAPs? Do you know about the PRISM system with the National Security Agency? Do you know about all the secret data links we use with AT&T and our Stingray and Dirtbox for local police? Computer networking, radio frequency. My job was to tell the cable guys who were doing the fittings and whatnot out on the pole or in the home what to do, because I was in control of the cable modem in the head end on the back end. Okay? So, that's all back in 2001. At the same time, I was teaching people meditation, healing touch, and the biofield. Okay? On my off time, while working at Charter, teaching people. This is a body part. Body part. And then I get up here in front of people and I go, show me your biofield. And they go, that's impossible. And I said, no, it's a body part. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my lighting here so you can see it. And then I stand up and I'm like, make your hair stand on end. It's called piloerection. It's the sympathetic nervous system. Apologies for calling it parasympathetic. That's different. That's digestion. Well, come on. Let's see it. Let me move my arms around. Nothing happens. Yeah. Okay. 1, roll your shoulders forward if you've been sitting. 2, and if I put some effort into it, shield. That's your biofield. Which is why those of you that still don't get it. How's your phone work? Your cell phone, tell me how it works. This was the other bitchiness that I got from people over and over again. They're like, well, all you're doing is saying, how does your phone work? No, I'm trying to draw your attention to literal tech metrics. Well, I don't know where my phone went. So that you understand how easy it is to log into you and make a change. So, how did we get to this point where all these good people in radio frequency, etc., that they don't know shit about what we're actually doing in the human body? And in order to explain all of this, I've had to make a gazillion signs. I've had to come back out here over and over again. And I've been trying to figure out why it is, there's my phone, that nobody else seems to know these things. Okay? This is my great uncle's folder from Shepherd Air Force Base. I often also show his Aberdeen Proving Ground stuff. That's my little pink book, wherever it's hiding at the moment. And then I also go over his old notes with flux density notation with mercury and whatnot. Why? so that people understand that this has been going on for a really long time. So tell me how your phone works. When you click a button and you send an email, you don't see the email leave the phone. It's a wireless, invisible signal, just like your body. It's a body part. So when I worked at UW Whitewater, for my job, I found IBM software that they alleged was also used way back when Fauci and them wanted to get their shit off the ground for attacking the human immune system. Well, if you don't know that the human immune system is 80% your biofields, you called it the aura, you called it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's because 6,000 years of human telemetry, chiropractic, and the rest of it for your circulatory system just magically disappeared. Nobody has any idea what's going on. That was 6,000 years of the human circulatory system. You call it chakras. Yeah, they call it aim and fire. 150 years ago, Aleister Crowley and people, yeah, nothing's real except what you can see. There is no biofield. There's no cymatics, there's no radionics, there's no plasmonics. There's nothing except what you can see. Well, that's a body part that's responsible for 80% of our immune system. How do we know for sure? The definition at Children's Hospital, the organs and tissues that comprise the immune system, the thymus, the bone marrow, the lymphatic, your vessels, your spleen, and your skin. And so I'm like, yeah, the human biofield being watched by Project Salus. So the human biofield is the aura, is your W band, 802.15.6. Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, everything is autonomous. And you have an MQ-9 Reaper drone attached to your skin and bone. That's a big bird for those of you that know. She's huge. And so for me, I'm like, why in the hell do we need something that big? Well, for those of you in radio frequency, yet again, that don't understand that we're playing around with the particulate in the atmosphere and perturbating the human biofield with the Doppler. Okay? And we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about geoengineering and weather control, and all these systems work together. When I log into your body, I'm looking at multiple manifolds, torus manifolds, and then I'm using mathematics to log into your cell structure with something called biophysics. Opto-array, electronic, photonic, moving your cells around with pressure, temperature, and physics, physical, biophysics change. Not, oh gee, I'm waving my magic wand. No, I'm logging into your body with radio frequency directly. This is how AI precision healthcare is offered. And I'm going to show you the bigger sign here in a minute. Step 1. Since 2005, any little nerd who could code in Zigbee and Bluetooth for light switches since 2005 is working with these biosensors, K-hop nearest neighbor routing, dynamic channel allocation, thermodynamic routing, right there. You can go look it up. Open shortest path first, body to body. How did I find it? Cybersecurity for the new digital ID and the 6G low personal area network. Machine to machine, no human can crack it or de-encrypt it or encrypt it. And it's ad hoc, vehicular ad hoc or whatever. And then the body is what sends the signal. Now, the moment that I found this mathematically by the metrics, I had a shit fit because I'm like, how in the hell are you using the human body for that? What are you doing? If you're doing that, you're using the aura. And of course, you can imagine as a natural telepath, having been electronically tortured lifelong for metrics, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You told me, not y'all, but family, professionals, people, oh, energy work is bullshit. The aura's not real. Only believe in what you can see. We're going to fix people's health. Well, I was told I had pseudotumor cerebri. Anybody who got an autoimmune disorder out there? You ever wondered why they can't fix it? Okay, maybe I should get that other sign back here for a second. Where's your immune system? 80% of your immune system is in that field. Am I able to electronically log into you and change out the cellular homeostasis of your electrical cell structure? And anybody who knows anything about biology, do you shit ham sandwiches? When you go eat your lunch, after you're done eating your lunch, do you shit it out in the same format? No. And why is that? Because we're biochemical beings and we have electricity in our cells. Yeah. But if I hit you with the signal and I decouple your ass from your circadian rhythms, by using the ratio, the golden ratio, to uncouple the cellular state. Now, where did I get this from? Tufts University, Dr. Michael Levin. Life extension, synthetic biology, immortality research. It's called regenerative medicine, biomedical tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. For that, we have to disassociate your electrical fields, plural. This is called the biofield at the National Institute of Health. In the quantum market share, it's called the quantum field. In morphogenesis, you heard me, synthetic biology, morphogenesis, it's called the morphogenetic field. And why? Because it's still all the same damn thing. Your cells at every level exchanging data in your lymphatic system, your tissues. And now they're hacking into that, changing it so that they can get transhumanism, synthetic biology, life extension. Where the fuck is everyone else? Let me show you. It's not real. Why are they doing that? If they're going to work and they're working on it, why are they telling you it's not real? Well, I'm going to show you. It's very simple. I went ahead because I was so angry, and when I get mad, I do research, and then I force myself to take a breath, go outside with the bow staff if I'm really pissed off, and come back to Zen. Self-control. Make a list. And I'm like, okay, wait. So if I go to work for Command and Control C4ISR, SIPRNet, NIBRNet, back into the NSA, DNA steganography with the NSA, and we watch every synaptic exchange at 5,100 bits and log it with the NSA PRISM program. That's what Assange, Snowden, and all of them were talking about. That's why they killed Barnaby Jack, the ATM jackpotter. He was there at DEF CON to present that it was easier to hack a human body with a pacemaker or otherwise. You didn't need to have a pacemaker than it was a car. Dead. So with that in mind, I'm like, why can't we talk about this? So I went and found where you can talk about it, because even in the machine learning, you're not allowed to write the word biofield, which I found very weird, okay, because nobody reads that stuff. So then I found out that it is the following. Electronic, medical, police, warfare divisions, military, your Lockheed, Raytheon, all of them. Advanced signals technology. It's everywhere as a job. In information, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the Internet of Behaviors, Bodies, Things, the Industrial Internet of Things, the Medical Body Area Network, all way back, 2005, 2015. It's all there. And I'm like, these are jobs? Oh, yeah. And then neural modulation, neural stimulation, Project Salus, watching everybody think in real time with CT2WS, cognitive warfare technology, EEG headset, ultrasound, modified ultrasound, all walking around on a headset. Then the Renius chipset embedded in their left hemisphere. And I'm like, where did all of this come from? Synthetic telepathy, been out there since 1995. So they needed a backbone. Just like back in the day when everybody was logging into email for the first time on dial-up. It would get crowded. People would have to wait forever and get kicked off. I fucking worked it. I would know. So my job was to upgrade them, to bring them out of dial-up and onto cable modems, for which I used a system called NMAPs on COM controllers with something called COM21 cable modems, which were different than the throwaway DOCSIS stuff in the big cities. Different markets, so different hardware, everything, different software. So I went ahead as I continued to make my little T-bar list, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. If I'm in radio frequency, if I'm in IT, I log into the body, make changes, and organize. If I'm anyone else in the world, I'm a fucking nut job. Give me drugs and make me sit still. And the only place you can really learn about the biofield is in the Bible, because Jesus used it to heal. And I mean, it's ions and electrons. It's your exchange with your environment. That's why everybody works with radar. So we're told, get your nuts away from it because it'll overheat you and such. It's microwave. And then they also could feel the radar coming and going without looking at the screen. Yes, because you have an electrical body part involved. So then, as if all that wasn't enough, because I couldn't figure out how is this so obvious to me, but not everyone else, because I admit the body part. Now, enter in where I come from. I come from Black Projects. So I go back to my grandmother, who was a Rosicrucian in Chicago, has a bunch of depression glass. These are nanolipids. And they would have them stand on a metal plate or whatever. Yeah, and that's your specialized concrete for human teleportation, like you heard out of the mouths of Sean Ryan and other people who he interviewed, the Marines and such, that found the photonic different mixtures of concrete, just like the Roman Colosseum specialized limestone. So this is also another reason why I'm like, oh my God, you guys have been doing this for 100 years plus. Radio frequency, industrial, scientific, and medical band. This is where we got our 2.4 terahertz from. And that's your targeted individuals in Havana syndrome as well. 2 radio frequency sinks, one over the heart, one over the bladder. Illegal as fuck, putting RFID chips in people since the 60s. With John von Neumann software and architecture. Why and how? So the first sign I ever did, I had to destroy because the Pentagon was so pissed at me. And I said, I know why you've done this, because you did it for wireless tissue engineering, which is what's his name is up there with Palpatine, also known as Klaus Schwab, talking about all the time. Okay? So, your body is 802.15.6. You're a wide body area network. We fly a drone with sensors, open system architecture, and modified open system approach. We can slap any hardware on the ass end of it. We can log into it with a web portal. We fly it over your home. Now, people who think that CERN, ITER, and Tokamak are demon portals are a bit confused. Big fucking magnet under your feet could be the baseboard carrier signal to your cable company or baseline satellite. And we create an electromagnetic field above your head and below your feet. Now, your biofield, your whole fucking body, is inside of 802.15.6. The biosensors are individually accessible with CISA MyTinyOS cybersecurity on 802.15.4. Your wireless sensor networks create radio frequency relays and anything that they need to perturbate cell structure on 802.15.5. And before you say, well, what the hell do they need all that for? Precision artificial intelligence, wireless healthcare. So we break out the internal organs and divide it up, and that's how we're able to make the genetic change if we want to with the CRISPR-Cas9 infusion, which I'll show on a sign here in a moment. Or we can just go ahead and terahertz to gigahertz, gigahertz to terahertz, and exchange out your cell structure. Oh, but they need to practice that. They already did. So what they did was they lied. So first you see a UFO, they radiate your body part known as the biofield. Then you start getting psychic abilities. They're called psionics. Telepathy, empathy, precognition, telekinetics. It's all natural in human bodies. Neurons. And neurons are not only in your brain, they are body-wide. Nobody knows any of that. You're not allowed to talk about any of that. So instead you're told you're a fucking nut job, take drugs, or else you can't talk to anybody who's normal. The Christians will scare the shit out of you, call you evil. The people that want to wear robes, bleed on the floor, and do stupid shit with the CIA, thinking that they're surfing the astroplane, they end up on the Cisco backplane. And you're like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, they're pulling the neurons out of your body just a little bit at a time and loading them into a neuromorphic chipset. How do you think they got such incredible artificial intelligence in the first fucking place? It's your neurons. And they admit they need living neurons to do what they do. Now, this is where a bunch of people get fucked up with me. And they're like, oh, Sabrina, you're being a doom pillar, blah, blah, blah. There's no way they would pull our neurons out of our body, store them in a chipset, and then take our skin and bone, do what they wanted to with it, lock us underground, and then when we think we're being born, they're putting us back into another body somewhere. And everyone goes, ah! And I'm like, listen, the dimension that we live in, they lied to you about how it works with material physics. You think people are going to burn in fire and brimstone, and this is the part of things you can take it or leave it. But what I saw was that people go into a neuromorphic chipset. It's a plasmonic architecture underground. And that makes sense to me because that's one of the reasons so many people throw in with this system that recycles itself. It's not some big secret. These are jobs. So the wireless body area network, you're sitting there, they fly over, you get radiated, you start having psionic abilities, and they continue to perturbate your biofield. They watch your dreams, they record your dreams, and they record everything you're thinking in real time to databases that are using the ubiquitous and the ambient air molecules all around you. Again, well-minded, or I should say healthy people, they're like, that's way too much micromanagement. Yeah, but if you didn't have a body, and you had no way to have a body, and you're running the world and you're obsessed with control, okay? The next thing is if you get a little too radiated and your bionomics, your bioinformatics fall out of place or you fall into a liminal space, we can then morph you again with genomics and morphology, transhumanism full on, and turn you into Bigfoot and Wolfman and whatever else. And you can be bilocated, and there's 4D skiffs that they can walk into to be secure from bioweapons. Now, that all sounds nuts, I know. Everybody's like, no, the aliens are here. And I said, no, we make the aliens. And everybody continued to freak out on me, and I'm like, listen, the HemiSync thing, the CIA gateway process, that was you people feeding the databases. You're bleeding over the masters for DNA synchronicity and DNA sequence matching. That's your global information grid for your digital twin. And your string theory is bullshit, but we do have a 4D. There's no multiverse. There's just the Nephilim and everybody else. So Oh, you think that because you're a Christian. No, I think that because that's what I saw with nature spirits and every other type of creature you can possibly imagine. And it was still the same jack-offs who were kidnapping people and doing terrible things. So, for me, I'm like, how is it that you're not telling anybody that you've got their ass on the cloud with 80% of their immune system locked down? Transcranial magnetic stimulation was what they were doing to me, but they told me I had pseudotumor cerebri. Back in the 90s, they said when you could feel the subtle electrocution, there was no such thing back then as electrosensitive because they didn't tell anybody they were subtly electrocuting people. They said, no, you have fibromyalgia, you're just a wuss to pain. No, you don't. You have pseudotumor cerebri, fake brain tumor. Your brain is acting like it has a tumor, but we don't know why. Well, because you're transcranially magnetically stimulating my brain to swell it and deswell it for metrics testing for non-invasive N3 with DARPA. That's fucking why. And I have a seraphim, and I was removed from the N3 process, which is MPD and DID. You just put an EEG overlay of personality, just a nanolobotomy, a few neurons at a time, and then we can induce your neurons into an alpha state. When we do that, it causes schizophrenia, but only in certain neural networks. And we use that back in the day in the 80s and 90s to check parity for neuron, neuron, and brain, brain. Now those products and services are commercial. They are available from the Artificial Intelligence Symposium that you can still go read the transcripts for from September 2020. And that's synthetic telepathy and synchron and brain-to-brain interface, which is, in my opinion, why they needed to hurry up and get the newest backbone deployed, because not enough people knew, of course, because it's their personal private system of walking circles around all the good people who are doing their jobs legally. And none of this has legal oversight. All of it is black projects hidden. So that's why I keep getting pissed at people who claim they're going to sue people. I'm like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You either don't know what you're talking about or you're purposely swindling people out of good money because you're not suing anybody. I'm looking for my synthetic biology side. Anyways, so after having all your autoimmune disorders that never go away, I wanted to know, how the fuck did they do this? Well, back in the day, with all these companies that they have with IBM, Fairlongen, and Underground, they just kept going to work. Nobody said a fucking word. Nobody said a word. Nobody said a word. The quantum systems with the IEEE and all that are on. In 2019, well, come on, let's go. Turn on the synchron and the brain-to-brain interface on the back end on a bigger system. What do I mean? Quantum computing, we gave the signature reduction force to people in the white vans a job and a pension. I have longer videos to prove that out. Local logistics started hybridizing themselves with transhumanism. In the 90s, you had non-invasive N3, library access, NIST, NASA, and brain-to-brain web portals. 1995 in Congress. You think they knew? Then in 802.15.4 becomes commercial to all the little nerds in 2005. In 2012, Carrie Majay group, they all get together and get told, we're doing this. We're going to be deploying in a few years, so get ready. Shut your fucking mouth about anything related to the biofield, just like they took away all of Dr. Robert Young's work in the last 3 years. And then in 2014, brain-to-brain interface became commercially available. Now, with all that additional traffic now between themselves and all the different elites and people that have now thrown in to be transhuman and take over the world, do you think they needed a bigger backbone? COVID has its own data center. They need to make sure that they can change out everybody on a button press remotely. That way there's no worrying about you fighting them or getting in their way. Would you believe that's what's written inside the Pentagon directive? Because it is. They're not worried about you being able to pull your gun. They're only worried about unintended engagement and loss of control of their drones. There was no, interestingly, the Department of Defense Directive 3009 does not refer to positive outcomes as a design criterion. Department of Defense Directive 3009 defines the goal of autonomous systems to avoid negative outcomes, unintended engagement, or experience a loss of control. 2012 for implementation on the 8th of May 2017. And the wide body area network since 1995, and your biosensor since 2005 means nobody got a choice. We have human body or human bonding communication on the RF. Everyone is now a cyborg with soft robotics deployed with the biosensors that are DNA analyte derivative made out of your tissue, talking to satellites on position navigation and timing, NTS-3 accessible, no GPS needed, inside of your body. Your body is the network, your body is the node, your DNA is propagating the signal, no tower required. And that's the same system that I was born to in 1979 that they already had because Grandmother Rosicrucian and everybody else have been working on this for a couple hundred years. With databases and underground computers. How do you make Greek fire? Right. So, for me, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Metamaterials? And everybody goes, what's a metamaterial? And I said, well, it's not going to be enough to get it in you with radio frequency due to the line of sight problems and all the other problems that we have with electromagnetic waves and beam forming. And it wasn't enough to have your MAC ID under control with the physical stuff. No. We, for $45,000 a year, sell the ability to log into you to your loved ones so that they can do an EEG overlay and they overwrite your brain tissue. Oh, you're just don't with the crazy thing, because people don't really do that to me anymore, and you shouldn't either. So La Quinta La Columna came out and said neuromodulation, neural stimulation, and neural monitoring, and it's excited by the graphene. And everybody goes, oh, and I said, yeah, and radio modulation. And that brings me full circle, radio frequency engineers. How the fuck is it that you don't know that we've had all of these systems going on with the Army, multi-domain sensing system with high accuracy detection exploitation system, patterns of life to develop the target, C4ISR, September 14th. What the hell? How is it that you don't know? Give me a break. How can that be possible? Over and over again, I'm sitting here trying to figure out why it is that none of you will open up and say anything to anybody, given that you guys have to be the ones that know how this is being executed. But, it's demonstrated by the questions I keep getting. They're like, what are you talking about? Well, guys, when you get rid of our wireless body part and you tell everybody nothing exists except what they can see, you get rid of frequency, oscillation, cymatics, the power of sound, optics, radionics, and anything plasma derivative. Good fucking job. Because they connected this wireless body part to telephony in 1922, and they've been doing anything they want to ever since. You didn't tell anybody about synthetic telepathy in 1995. You didn't tell anybody about the wide body area network. You didn't tell anybody about the biosensors, so our youth have been biohacking. Now, damn it, Janet, this 1,500 year or 300 year, however long plan, we get Galileo and Copernicus out there, throw them in front and say, here, we're going to science now. We killed everybody with the Spanish Inquisition that could read books. Go. But that only lasted for 200 years. And that was only in private universities that you were allowed to learn. Then they start killing everybody again until they get back to the 1960s. Why does that matter? For those of you that don't understand from radio frequency what Langland's equation is, or the Rosetta Stone of mathematics, that took us to a new type of quantum encryption to break all the bit series old encryption, with the L function and the meromorphic changing out the polaritons and poles on the complex plane of any toroidal field that we wanted to for modification of the electromagnetic stimulation with quantum underground computers in the quantum space. You took away the body part. You got everybody all fucking confused because they think that it doesn't exist. Put the body part back, and it's real simple. They're piloting you around like a synth. No. Yeah, because Project Looking Glass. Whoa. Yeah, routing radio frequency through the body. 802.15.45 and 6. And then once we line it up with your DNA, well, we have DNA steganography. Did you know that your DNA stores a fuck ton of data for the government? Because it does. Then you have your chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear skiffs that are equally made out of your DNA to protect them from a biofrequency weapon and something called prima materia. Welcome to Project Pandora. I can walk into a liminal space. I can walk into a bioweapon frequency secure skiff. Perfect. Why? Because I'm going to invade the world with my MQ-9 Reapers, pretty fucking magical technology. I showed a picture of a Reaper in 1953. So the medical implant communication system comes online, and we're chipping humans with RFID. The MAC IDs, I was born with one in me in 1979. The HemiSync is the EEG brain connectomes, which is what we use when we're logging in and out because the neuronal loop is closed, says Yonich from Machine Learning, who I take the synergist to point out you don't need to lie about what a MAC ID is and what it does. It is a medium access control derivative, and the people out there in radio frequency that work with old equipment or don't know about the body area network, they're like, well, how is it changing all the time? Because you're dealing with WSN, which is wireless sensor networks at a very small scale, and they're moving around and they're talking to each other and recombining themselves. Oh. So Yonich in Machine Learning, he's got quite a few subscribers, and so does Anastasia on Tech. And they talk about all the neuron-to-neuron, brain-to-brain I'm talking about. Where are you? Probably watching The Sun, which said in December of 2022, oh yeah, we'll need chips in our head in 2100 before anybody can have telepathy. How convenient. What if you're born with it? Well, they're going to take it away from you. Why would they do that? Well, they have brain imaging libraries like Bill that commit changes with CRISPR-Cas9 to your proteins, your peptides, your amino chains, your amino acids. Then we take a transcript of the change with something called a transcriptome, and proteomics rewrites your proteins, your brain connectomes, again, about that brain. It has to be secure for transfer of information by cybersecurity standards. So heavy sync and the EEG and the brain are in there with the connectome, testing for DNA sequence patterning and how you behave around other people. If you think you're astral projecting, you're actually in the back end of a computer for neuron-colon-neuron exchange and your plasma core structure underground that matches your DNA. IBM computers. So who's doing all this? Same people that I always saw. Medical, sheriff, police, lawfare, Maine military, paramilitary, black projects, geospatial in Silicon Valley. And why are they doing this? Because they can just log into your ass with Geomancer, determine your location with their lovely little curated data labeling and data curation databases the DoD sold off at the Artificial Intelligence September conference in 2020, symposium rather. Amazing Polly explains in Rwanda how we went down and shot aerosolized nano in the air. But we have to have communication that is secure between certain soldiers. And for that, you're back to the 802.15.6. Modify their biosensors. You can save them from the chemical warfare or the aerosolized by popping different types of bioelectric code and wireless tissue engineering healing. And then the wireless sensor networks can relay on all the other humans that you want to do something different. In the very same way, the spells that we cast on people and save in our spell books over on the GitHub have vector or feature values when they go into a vector after they've mapped the coordinate with Geomancer. And those feature values are your Digi-ID. So they could be anything. And what we do is we order a drone, take a picture over your home of real time with the access that we have, and then we can fire up a generative adversarial neural network, an artificial neural network, or whatever we want, electrocute the air molecules around your head and execute a terahertz bullet, or whatever we want. And that's with your NTS-3, again, position, navigation, and timing of your biosensors, 802.15.4. Starting to see how it's kind of a big fucking deal that you laced everyone's ass to the cloud and told them nothing. And then we had, oh, well, you just can't take pain. Oh, it's a fake brain tumor, but we don't know why. Oh, you're having seizures that make your eyes go bloodshot. We don't know why. Lupus, Lou Gehrig's disease, all the autoimmune disorders. Oh, there's nothing we can do. When you electrocute humans through their own tissue and you don't tell them, and you force their immune system to electrically adhese to nanotech or another body in a different electrical way than what your red blood cells and your neurons need to function, you end up with an autoimmune disorder, an automatic immune fucking problem with the order of operation because you're electrocuting them. Yeah, that's what the biosensors do. Oh, so now, because no one said a fucking thing about subtly electrocuting people, there's your nanomorgellons. Cancer's not my story to tell, but they tell you on the Daily Mail, give you cancer, take it away in 15 minutes. They've had that capability since 1995. Now it's sudden adult death syndrome. Fuck you some more, and no accountability for all this testing that they did with the vaccinations at the different age scales. None of it. Not a fucking bit of it. So what did we end up with? Full circle. The 6G low personal area network, your ass is attached to the cloud. The signal is propagating from you, your body, your DNA. Turn off the signal for Ebola, killing off your loved ones in front of your face. Stop your DNA. Now that's terrifying. That's some real doom pilling. Yeah, that's cybersecurity. Stop the signal. You have to stop the DNA because the body area network is where the signal is coming from. So it won't go away unless you stop the DNA. So you radio frequency people think you might want to get caught up on a technology from 1995? If that's really the situation that we're in? Because the metamaterials are about to make it transhuman very serious. And I will go ahead and pull up the metamaterial guy again, just for you radio frequency hams and people. I have a lot of respect for you guys. I'm very surprised. If you don't know, now's the time. But just like the dudes on the hobby farms, maybe y'all been hanging out in your basements doing cool stuff like you do with your equipment to do testing. And just like the Baba Black Sheep guys who fly their drones for the good reasons, trying to teach young people how cool it is to build a circuit board yourself and make it communicate. And they've weaponized everything, made it super ugly and very difficult to communicate with anybody about this stuff. And especially now, given that the new warfare technology is electrical, and that means telepathy, empathy, and precognition, which are natural abilities in human neurons, those are now the hot commodity. Nobody understands what's going on because you won't admit that they created a cyber-physical backbone because they needed more throughput. And my sign for that is, for some reason, missing. So I'll come back with that. It's synthetic biology. Please take a look at my synthetic biology videos for the glossary and terms. And thank you for the people using nanowork as a touch point. And I hope that this is the simple explanation that doesn't sound bitchy towards you. I'm just so furious that they didn't tell anybody it's a body part, because as you can see, when you get back down to cybersecurity, turn your DNA off. Guys, who's going to want to hear that? So let's educate. It's the W band, and take your body part back. And then, well, what do I do with it all? Biofield practice? I know you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. It's your body part. You're the best person to know how it works. And if you knew that precognition and empathy are the two most common neuronal abilities, it's not psychic, it's psionic, which is why my website is Synergy. Psi plus energy equals synergy, as in your own biofield, your own psionic abilities, my own neurons. I don't need a wearable to be a telepath or telekinetic. They purposely practice wireless tissue engineering. That means suppressing your growth, your internal organs, and stunting your brain tissue. No maybes. So if we're actually going to find a way through this, we need people to be honest about what's already been deployed and what is in play with the wide body area network. We can't afford to keep spinning around it, protecting sensor hunters and pretending that it's going to get better. The people that want these systems to change, they're not but murdered for over 20 years. And they want to murder me like every 5 minutes. So now I'm going to go take a walk. God bless y'all out there. I have other videos to load, but I'm loading these first for the people who genuinely asked, can you please break it down for me as simple as possible? Mark 5:36. Amen.